Sometimes it feels like the world is full of noise that never quite lets up. This is 10 Better Minutes, a place to hear a few stories that offer a quieter, more balanced view. Here, you will find recent, real moments that show the world is more layered than the headlines suggest, without ignoring the hard parts. I am your host, Ian Rhodes, and I appreciate you taking some time to listen today. In this episode, we will meet a classroom saying goodbye after decades of teaching and explore some encouraging signs in the fight against HIV. But first, let us begin with a story about a mother who found a simple way to help her son communicate when technology would not cooperate. One night, Jessica Fletcher and her 11-year-old son, Hunter, went out to dinner with his electronic communication device, a way for him to tell people what he wanted. Just before it was time to order, the device stopped working. Hunter is nonverbal and autistic, so that moment could have closed a door. Instead, Jessica kept the moment open by building an instant backup. She wrote the alphabet on paper for him, but the letters were not in the order that worked for Hunter. With calm determination, he turned the paper over and drew his own keyboard. It was simple and brilliant, because it matched how his mind wanted the keys to be. Jessica looked at that drawing and thought, "This can be permanent." Later, she had a keyboard tattooed on her forearm so Hunter could type what he needed when technology fails or when they are somewhere noisy and unpredictable, like a pool or splash pad. She even shared a short video showing the keyboard in action, and that clip reached millions of people, inspiring thousands of shares and new conversations about communication. Jessica did not stop there. She partnered with a local business to create keyboard shirts, giving other families an option that turns "what if it fails" into "we already have a way." Watching Hunter type his thoughts, you can feel the quiet message underneath it all. Hope can be practical, and love can be designed. There's something about a goodbye that feels bigger than the room it happens in, especially when it is tied to years of showing up for someone. This story reminds me how small moments can carry all that history in one breath. Stone was only 6, but his feelings were already so clear. As his kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Kinnard, prepared to retire after 40 years, the class and families could feel that mix of gratitude and sadness. One afternoon, Stone stood between 2 chairs with his father, Dr. J. Max Slaughter, who tuned his guitar to provide the music. Then Stone sang "Remember Me" from Disney's 2017 film Coco. He did not try to perform for anyone. He simply offered the song the way you might offer a heartfelt note, steady and sincere. His father played along, and Mrs. Kinnard watched him as if she were seeing every school day she had ever invested return back to her at once. In the video posted online, Stone shared that singing felt good and sad, and you can hear that balance in the moment. Mrs. Kinnard and everyone watching were deeply moved, fighting back tears. The clip spread widely, earning nearly 280,000 likes and thousands of comments from people around the world who called it pure and heartfelt. It is the kind of kindness that does not announce itself. It just quietly proves that love can sound like a child's voice in a song you remember. Sometimes progress feels like a blueprint on paper, but then you see it in real life. A ride to the park, a grocery run, a daily trip that suddenly feels possible. In Bogota, that shift is happening for women, one safer lane and one learning session at a time. A decade ago, many women stayed off bicycles because of fear of theft or assault, worry about being hit, and the simple fact that nearly 1/3 had never learned to ride. Then the city changed its approach in 2021, adopting a gender perspective cycling policy that treated safety and access as shared responsibilities. Protected bike lanes now stretch for 425 miles, and the city also expanded practical safety upgrades. For people who needed the hands-on start, Bogota has its bike school, teaching about 40,000 residents each year, with roughly 80% of participants being women. Eliana Gonzalez is one of those riders. She pedals a colorful cargo bike with her baby, her son, and sometimes her dog. She even founded Mamacitas and BC back in 2018, helping mothers feel confident enough to customize cargo bikes and join the rhythm of city life. The most uplifting part is how this becomes a kind of trust story. When lanes are safer and lessons are real, more women start riding. And in 2023, they already made up 28% of daily bicycle trips. Bogota aims for true gender parity in cycling by 2039, and every small, steady morning ride pushes that goal closer. It is easy to assume progress in public health moves slowly, but a new report from UNAIDS suggests something more encouraging is happening right now. New HIV infections and AIDS-related deaths are at their lowest levels in more than 30 years, and that matters because it reflects fewer people becoming infected and fewer people losing their lives to the disease. In a special report prepared for the 26th International AIDS Conference in Rio de Janeiro, UNAIDS pointed to major momentum in several places, including Benin, Eswatini, Kenya, Lesotho, Nepal, Rwanda, and Zimbabwe, where new infections have dropped by almost 80% since 2010. The report also notes that in 11 countries, more people are moving through the full treatment pathway, often summarized as 95-95-95, meaning diagnosis, treatment access, and viral suppression are all reaching strong targets. What I find especially hopeful is how treatment success and prevention tools are converging. In the Purpose 1 trial, results from lenacapavir, a new prevention medicine, showed 0 HIV infections among 3,200 young female participants. Meanwhile, countries are beginning the practical work of scaling access. South Africa is negotiating pricing for twice-yearly lenacapavir injections, and UNITAID and the Global Fund plan to roll it out with a goal of reaching 3 million people by 2028. When you zoom out, it feels like the same message in two directions at once. Care is reaching more people, and safer protection is becoming more real. It is one thing to find old pictures, and another to feel the people in them looking back at you. This story is about how a community archive is coming alive again, one identification at a time. Decades ago, photographer Richard Samuel Roberts worked early mornings, taking his time seriously. He worked from 4 a.m. to noon as a custodian at the United States Post Office, and later photographed life on Washington Street in Columbia. His glass plate negatives eventually ended up tucked away, including in a crawl space where so much potential memory was out of reach. In the 1970s, Tom Johnson and Philip Dunn moved those negatives to the university library, helping them survive long enough to be seen. Then, University of South Carolina staff and the Civil Rights Center took on the next step. They digitized nearly 6,000 images from the Richard Samuel Roberts collection and made them freely available online. Students were paid to digitize the photos in 2024, and the website includes simple tools for public identifications. Viewers can click a box, add names, and share notes for specific images, turning browsing into a kind of gentle conversation across time. You can feel how this changes the meaning of a photograph. It is no longer only history on a screen. It becomes a way to reconnect, to say, I recognize this person, I remember this street, and I am here to help the story stay whole. As always, I have a practical tip for you to help with your mental reset and find a little more ease in your day. Sometimes the mind loops, replaying the same thought until it feels heavy and sticky. Today's tip is about using a journaling app for quick reflection instead of rumination. Here's the shift. When you notice yourself getting stuck, open your journaling app and set a timer for 3 minutes. You are not writing a masterpiece. You are just getting the thought out of your head and onto the screen. Try a simple prompt like, what is the story my mind keeps telling me? Then follow with, what do I actually know right now? And what is one small next step I can take? As you write, watch for the moment your tone changes from blaming or spiraling into something more honest and workable. That is the reflection part. Rumination keeps going because it has no ending. Reflection creates an ending, even if it is brief. When the timer goes off, close the app. Take one slow breath and choose an action that matches your next step, even if it is small. Over time, you train your mind to come back to the present, rather than living in the loop. We made it to the end of this episode, and I just want to say thank you for hanging with me for 10 better minutes. If the world felt heavy today, I hope this left you with something steadier to carry. The quiet proof that people still choose decency, that communities still show up for one another, and that kindness is not rare, just easy to overlook. If you would like a few more of these grounded good news stories to clear out some of the noise, you can follow or subscribe, and new episodes are posted every day. This is Ian Rhodes with 10 Better Minutes. Take care, and I will see you tomorrow.